Hey yo hey, hey be a way yo, hey yo hey, hey be a way yo, hey yo hey, hey yo hey, hey be a way yo, hey yo hey, hey yo hey yo. Remember me, when the sun comes up in the morning sky. There I will be, soaring with the eagle so high, feeling free. Remember me, down the road, hand in hand, you and me. Hey-oh, hey-oh, hey-oh. Hey-lo, hey, hey, be-oh, be-oh, hey-oh, hey, hey, be-oh, be-oh, hey-oh, hey, hey-oh, hey, hey, be-oh, be-oh, hey-oh, 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 hey-oh. Remember me, when the sun comes up in the morning sky. There I
So hello and welcome to Domytriesthis. One thing before we go ahead and get started, I'm sniffling again, still. We've had a change in season. It's gotten very, very cold. I also think some allergies are kicking in, which is really weird going into winter, but there it is. And still trying to get over some kind of sinus mess. So if I sniffle, I try to edit that stuff out, but if I'm sniffling around, I apologize if I don't quite catch something or if it's too close to, if they make it through. I apologize. Just know that it has to deal with weather and just all the things. All the things. Alrighty, so as usual, all the palettes that I'm using, if they're still available, will be listed down below. There's at least one that's no longer available. Actually, I think there's two. I don't think this ColourPop Blow and Smoke is available anymore either. So only the stuff that's still available will be listed down below. And let's just go ahead and get started. So today we are talking about Ashley Loring HeavyRunner. She was born November 23, 1996, and she's been missing since June 13, 2017. From Browning, Montana, on the Blackfeet Indian Reservation. She is from the tribe, the Blackfeet tribe. Ashley grew up on the Blackfeet Reservation in Browning, Montana, which is a small town near the eastern entrance of Glacier National Park. The reservation spans over 1.5 million acres, which is making it larger than the state of Delaware. It's a lot of land, folks. She spent a lot of time on the sprawling property of her grandfather's ranch, learning how to train horses and farm hay alongside her older sister, Kimberly. Going to take a moment to apologize for any thumping you might hear. My neighbor has kids, brand new neighbor, and they thump a lot. Anyway, let's get back to Ashley. Ashley graduated from Blackfeet Community College in environmental science and had been accepted into the University of Montana. She loved horses, the rain, photography, and the outdoors. and is described by friends and family as smart, athletic, positive, and always willing to help. Her older sister, Kimberly Loring HeavyRunner, describes her as funny, smart, and at times feisty. She had plans for the future. She was full of life and had a bright future ahead of her as she excelled in college and was looking to step out beyond the life of the tribe. She had even mentioned wanting to help with missing and murdered Indigenous women, which I thought was really interesting. From what I've seen, she apparently had a very kind heart. However, Ashley had also been struggling with the recent death of her grandfather and the breakup of her first love. In the aftermath, Ashley began experimenting with drugs and spending time with an older crowd, including a man named Sam McDonald. Remember that name. Yes, we have another case of a man being involved and for some reason not being considered a suspect in what's going on. Ashley's sister Kimberly first sensed something was wrong after returning from a 3-month trip to Morocco. The plan had been for Ashley to move in with Kimberly in nearby Missoula so they could start a new chapter together. When Kimberly came back to Browning, she called Ashley, but Ashley never answered. So on June 5th, 2017, fallout, Ashley's mother, Loxie, went into Ashley's room and told her that she loved her and where she was going on a 2-week birthday trip, and then left. Ashley reached out to friends on social media asking for a ride into the city of Browning at some point that day. She stuffed some clothes in a bag, in a backpack, and then left to meet the friends who were there to pick her up, and she waved goodbye to her grandmother as she hopped into the idling vehicle. A few hours later, a brief social media video captured Ashley at a party on the reservation. This was later taken down and turned over to authorities. On June 7th, someone reported receiving a message from Ashley requesting a ride, but when they responded, she did not reply back. Kimberly reported Ashley's disappearance to tribal law enforcement and the Bureau of Indian Affairs immediately. Local police apparently conducted a 3-day search. After the search concluded, tribal law enforcement appeared to stop any efforts to find Ashley. A missing persons report wasn't filed for 2 weeks. The family was told that she wasn't missing, despite the family saying she was. You know, that's just trippy to me. No, I'm sorry, she's not missing. You guys don't know. I mean, it's your kid, wouldn't you know? And as usual, there were jurisdictional issues that clouded the case. We've seen this frequently when it comes to missing Indigenous people. In 2016, 6,000 women went missing, but only 116 were logged into missing databases. There is a huge discrepancy when it comes to Indigenous people missing versus, others. Two weeks later, the family received their first tip. A young woman had been seen running from a vehicle on U.S. Highway 89 which runs through the reservation, and the night Ashley disappeared. The area this was seen was remote, surrounded by swamps, dense forest. However, searches led by her sister and friends discovered potential evidence on the edge of the reservation near the town of Bab. A pair of red-stained boots and a tattered sweater that reported to be owned by Ashley. And these were near Sam McDonald's property. Remember, I told you to keep that in mind. I should have known this was going to be quicker. We're going to go ahead and do the other eye, because there's more. They were sent over to law enforcement and the DA for DNA testing. The family was later told that this particular evidence was misplaced. I know that our police, we have some good officers, okay? I know we have some good officers out there. But in all honesty, this kind of shit is just, truly surprising to me that this happens. Oh yeah, we got that, but we don't have it right now. I mean, it's just, and I know it doesn't just happen with Indigenous women. I'm pretty sure it happens in other cases, particularly for minorities, where minorities are missing. It just boggles my mind. You can't even hold on to a pair of frickin' boots. It's bizarre. Anyway, when the FBI stepped in months later, the missing items were apparently recovered, but any results from the forensics testing have never been made public. From what I can tell, the family wasn't even told. All right, so let's get back to this Sam McDonald that we were talking about. He was one of the older people that Ashley had started hanging out with. And he was one of the last people to see her before her disappearance. This boy, all these men that we talk about in here, they've all got some craziness. They've all got weird shit going on. That's all I can say. There's always something about their stories, or, just something hinky, something not right. And I just don't understand why they don't end up being looked at closer. So after the June 5th party, he claims the two of them went back to his cabin and stayed there together for several days. A couple days later, around June 11th, he told her it was time for her to go home. And he has given two explanations as to what happened after that. They're very similar. They're not quite the same. So the first is the simplest, in which he says he was taking her home, he was tired, pulled over, and fell asleep, and when he woke up, she was gone. That's not sus. The second explanation, he says, as they were driving home, Ashley asked them to pull over so someone named V-Dog could pick her up. She also asked for directions to a cabin in the area, which Sam provided. We're getting a little bit more details. When you have to start filling things out a bit more, you gotta wonder. He claims to have then fallen asleep, and when he woke up, Ashley was gone, and he assumed that she had left with V-Dog and drove off. So we're going to talk about V-Dog, but still, come on. I suppose technically this second one could be just a more complete explanation of what happened when he drove her home. But yeah. Why not give that the first time, the whole thing, instead of a simple, we were driving, I tired, pulled over, fell asleep. When I woke up, she was gone. I mean, anyway. V-Dog is the nickname of Paul Valenzuela, a man in his 50s with a criminal record. He was married to Ashley and Kimberly's cousin Tashina Running Crane, also known as T. Apparently T's and V-Dog, apparently T's and Paul's marriage was rocky. About a month after Ashley's disappearance, Paul filed for divorce. Tashina told investigators that she and Paul had been in Seattle around the time of Ashley's disappearance, but Paul returned to the reservation alone on June 11th. Tashina had claimed that her husband had given Ashley a ride, but Paul denied that that happened. So we got two people claiming that Paul was somehow picked up Ashley, but Paul is going, nope, wasn't me, which is also sus. However, with Tashina's thing, I mean, we all know, we've all heard the stories of how it can go really wrong when there's a divorce. Spouses sometimes do and say things to get back at the other spouse for whatever reason. He also claimed that he didn't know Ashley, despite having given her a medallion and some sage. There is speculation that the two were having an affair, Ashley and Paul. But Tashina claims that she was unaware of any relationship until after Ashley vanished. So somehow that came up during the search, and Tashina didn't know, but now she did know. Again, strikes me as sus. The whole thing strikes me as sus. Everything is sus. Sam, Paul, and Tashina are the only three who come up consistently in all the stories about Ashley's disappearance. Sam was interviewed by the Up and Vanish podcast and Nightline. There are clips. One, you're looking at a kid right out of community college. So she's what? Maybe 20, 21 years old? These two guys are in their 50s. I've got questions. As well as a lot of ew. A lot of ew. Sometime after Ashley's disappearance, and it was actually known that she had disappeared, a reporter, Montana reporter Rachel Crow, Spreading Wings, said she had also possibly seen Ashley. Now, this one also gives me questions. Why? Okay, I'll finish the story because it just, again, I'm like, there is something wrong with how this is reported, how this incident went. She said she was out driving. She had pulled over to pick some berries that she saw along the side of the road. And a disheveled young woman who looked like Ashley approached and asked what she was gathering. A man stood nearby on the road, equally looking disheveled. When Rachel asked, the woman said her name was Ashley. Rachel reported the incident to police, but never received a follow-up. Why? That is all I've gotten about this particular possible sighting. And I don't understand one, it seems really threadbare, and two, why wouldn't you go, Ashley, oh, hey, people have been looking for you. Why don't you come with me and I'll give you a lift home? Or something to that effect to help try to bring this young woman home. Why wouldn't you do that? I don't understand. Anyway, later when she called the FBI, there was no record of that report. I'm not even. Let me finish this up right here and then we'll get to the other parts. So Kimberly has said that from the beginning we had a hard time getting in contact with law enforcement. We spoke to them during the first search, and then after a while we weren't able to contact them. We kept giving them evidence, and the things we found, the names of people we believed are involved. And Kimberly has said that she believes someone's in the family are involved. But she continued to say, and we get nothing back. It's frustrating. It feels like nothing is being done. If we weren't looking for her, I don't think anyone else would be. To date, police have not named any suspects and have no arrests have been made despite several reported sightings, and she hasn't been found. Kimberly has organized daily searches across the reservation and became the lead investigator on her own case and on her sister's case. And we've seen this with the other Indigenous people that we've talked about, where the family had to take control and become the detectives when they're not the detectives. You know, they can't rely on law enforcement. They have to become their own advocates and their own searchers. They have to do their own detective work. And a lot of that has got to be hard to do because they don't have access to the labs and all of that stuff like cops do. So like we have seen in other cases, a lot of the other cases, we haven't even had that many cases, and most of them have had this issue. Kimberly became the investigator and was taking phone calls, reading messages, and chasing down leads. Since Ashley's disappearance, Kimberly quit her job and returned to Browning and basically took that on as her full-time job to help her family. She has conducted over 120 searches with minimal help from law enforcement. Rewards have been offered. Politicians have been spoken to. Walks have been organized. Kimberly even testified before Congress in Montana's Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons Task Force was extended. Ashley's case has been highlighted by Never Seen Again episode, which was initially released July 25th, 2022, so 3 years ago, and is currently streaming on Paramount Plus if you want to see more from the family. Ashley was 5'2", about 90 to 105 pounds. She was a tiny girl. And you can see it in the photos of her that she is a tiny girl. She has a scar in the shape of a check mark on the top of one of her hands. She has brown hair, brown eyes, along with wearing corrective lenses. She was 20 years old at the time of her disappearance. 20-year-old hanging around with 50-year-old men. I'm not blaming her for that. I'm blaming them for that. I mean, mind you, a lot of our awareness about how sketch that is recent. But I would also still think that that should be common sense. Anyway, contact info, the FBI Salt Lake City office, 801-579-1400. These will be listed down below. You can also call the BIA Missing and Murdered Unit by texting 847411. Calling 1-833-560-2065, or emailing ojsmmu@bia.gov. I will list all that information down below. I'm going to go ahead and get this finished. This is our second one where the story was actually longer. But yeah, I will go and get this finished, and we will be right back to finish up. So I'm not doing a close-up. It's already falling apart. We're just going to move past the look. I think it would have been pretty if everything had worked out, but it's my face. I'm having issues. Been having issues for some time now. I think even the lipstick color is wrong. So I think everything just went right out the door. But we still got to talk about, another important Indigenous person. Ashley, I'm baffled. I'm not baffled so much that she disappeared. These disappearances happen all the time. And, I mean, it's unfortunate. And, there are some that are the person disappearing deliberately, whatever. But in general, I'm just really baffled by the way these cases are handled. We have this weird threesome thing here. Two guys in their 50s or older, and they both, one just says, well, I never did that. Whereas the other has two almost similar stories, and the shorter story could be just lacking the details of the longer story. It's the conversation in the car could just be that bit that just didn't get put in the original discussion with cops. But why wouldn't you put that in the original discussion with cops? It makes no sense to me. And then, of course, the wife saying that Paul gave her a lift, but she wasn't even there, and he denies it. So the whole thing's kind of a mess. Obviously, a guy was involved. The whole thing with the reporter just baffles me, too. Why not? She makes no mention of making an effort of bringing her in. Nothing that I've read has indicated that this reporter tried to bring Ashley home. She just saw her, said, oh, hey, what's your name? Ashley. And then we go and report it without making any effort to go, are you okay? Your family is looking for you? Are you okay? Do you need help? Why don't you come with me and let's get you home to your family and show them that you're okay? Your friend there can follow us or whatever, but I don't understand why you wouldn't make that effort. I know a lot of disappearance cases, not just the indigenous ones, have these little oddities in them. They just really seem to be compounded in the indigenous places. They seem to be more frequent. The case of Gabby Petito was pretty obvious. There are other cases of other people who have disappeared where, yes, there are hiccups in people's stories, but they don't seem to be as twisted like this. And for most other disappearances, you got some guy being weird, almost I would think that men, particularly men that are hanging out with girls half their age or less, but also men that are, you know, adjusting their stories or denying things that other people say happened when it's more than one person who said it happened, I would think they would go to the top of the list on suspects. Or if it's a guy that she hung out with it for a few days and then all of a sudden nobody can find her, just why are these men not being considered suspects? It's just weird to me. If the men are the ones that you're the last one hanging out with and claims to be the last one who saw you, and you go poof, why are the men being held accountable for some of that? Yeah, so to me, there's just a whole lot of just strangeness in the whole story and in the way people are interacting. And once again, and there's a thing where an interview or a clip where Kimberly says, I think someone in the family or part of the tribe is involved with this. And I agree with her. And I think it's right there in front of us, honestly. And to me, it just seems odd that no one's doing anything about it. And that does seem to be the case for most disappearances, is somebody... We talk about all this trafficking, but the majority of cases where someone disappears, someone is harmed, it's someone they know. And I just don't understand why these standards of protocols for other disappearances wouldn't apply here. Why aren't you looking at the people that she hung out with last time she was seen? Just, I mean, you know, Sam admits, we spent some days together. We spent some time together. Why isn't he a suspect? He's the last one who supposedly saw her. That doesn't necessarily make him the person who did whatever happened, but it's just strange that neither one of these guys were really looked into that much, as far as I can tell, and aren't suspects. And it's... I don't understand it. I don't understand. Anyway, like I said, all the information will be listed down below. So I hope that you will go ahead, if you know anything about Ashley, if you've seen Ashley, you've seen the pictures of her, you've seen, you know, the wanted poster. If you've seen her, I hope that you will get a hold of law enforcement and let them know. In the meantime, as we all know, I love my girls, my children. I love my dragonettes. And I hope you have a good one.